Oh, we're recording now. We're using all of our valuable minutes right now.
Oh,
This is it.
do you have a quarter?
I
That's how
don't
you
have
get.
any change. I by the way, I got a car wash. This is unrelated, and here we are. I got a car wash, and it was the first time I had actually gone out to get like a car wash like done like professionally, other than just like the drive-through. You don't have to get out of your car stuff. I didn't have any cash, and I was like, "How the hell do I tip?" And it was so uncomfortable. I wound up walking up to the people, and they were like, "Yeah, we do these things now. They're vouchers." So I was like, "Oh, thank God," because I didn't. Who carries cash anymore? Not me. Anyway, welcome to the movie Propcast. That was how we started it. Very, very real moment in our lives. Tyler's like, "Wow, podcast greatness right here. I'm glad to be a part of it." Still
I've
not a
got,
good. No,
I've
nothing.
got, I've got nothing. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, we're back, and we are diving into the world that, quite frankly, upon rewatching this, I had forgotten a lot of this film. Like, it was weird. I had seen it a few times, but we're diving into the world of I Am Legend, starring the one and only Will Smith. Totally, it's not no coincidence here. I mean, come on, we're just happened to be a Will Smith movie. No other reason
I
that we're
mean,
doing this movie.
we're fans of his. That's why.
Oh, obviously we're big fans. If you go back, one of our first episodes, Men in Black, obviously that's a hit as far as props and just a film in general. It's humongous. I Am Legend's probably not as popular. Definitely not. I mean, my wife, I told her we were doing this movie, and she was like, "Nah, I'm not watching that movie."
Yeah,
Not because she hated it, but because there's moments in this film which I again forgot. I didn't forget a couple of them. I didn't realize there were so many. Where you're just sitting there like, "Damn, this is depressing.
Oh
This is
yeah,
sad."
yeah. This isn't an act. It is an action flick, but it's also not an act. Like this is a story movie.
Right. It was. I got to figure out. Let me look at it real quick because I think there was like three categories they described this film as: a survival film,
Yes.
a medical fiction film,
Yes.
and a disaster film. That's what
Yes.
that was the three categories this fell under as a film. And I feel like that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That'll pretty much sum it up.
Yeah, and much like you, I forgot a lot about this movie. Like at least a lot of the beginning. Like I didn't realize that this movie. If are you familiar with 28 Days Later?
Yes. Yes.
So I don't. Something they don't address directly in 28 Days Later is that the movie was the reason why we have zombies in that movie is because they try to reduce human aggression by using Ebola to transmit this thing that is supposed to reduce human aggression, turns people into zombies. I didn't realize I Am Legend starts the movie with literally describing that, but not Ebola. Like they tried to use a different virus.
Right. Well, yeah, and they were like, "Yeah, they're trying to cure cancer," and they said that they did it. It was successful. I don't know how many. They said 58,000 or 20-something thousand. That many people, and it was successful every time. Turns out a little bit of time passes, and next thing you know, everybody's eating people. So yeah,
yes, a lot, millions. Will Smith has a breakdown later on about it. Like some die right away, and then some, like 500 million others, just start eating people.
That really put it into perspective. And before we get into that, real quick, at Movie Propcast on all social medias. Yes, I'm going to hammer it over your head. If you haven't followed us, you can find us on Instagram. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us on YouTube. We do full video episodes on our YouTube channel, The Movie Propcast. Hit subscribe. Look at our faces. Enjoy the view. Much like I do. I mean, I get to look at Tyler every week. It's fantastic. It's
my view,
highlight of my week.
Not so great.
You know what? I'm not even upset. All right. I didn't even do my hair today. All right. I didn't even do my hair. I think I got this. Look at this. See this? I got a little thing back here. Podcast listeners, you can't really hear or see what's going on, but there's a little lick from a cow back there. I believe that's what they call it. But back to what we were talking about. You said the breakdown where it was about 3/4 of the way into the film. Well, you actually find another character for the first time in the film late in the movie because it's Will Smith and a dog for about 80% of the film. And the fact that they did as much as they did with obviously CGI,
Yes.
in a post-apocalyptic New York City. Looking back on it now, 2007, it's hard to kind of criticize computer graphics from back in 2007 because right from where I'm sitting now in 2022, I'm like, I think that's pretty good, right? For the time. I don't ever remember seeing it back then and being like, that looks bad. I feel like I remember thinking it was good.
It was good for its time. But how much time have you spent in New York City?
I have been there twice.
All right. So
Twice.
I've been there many, many times. I grew up in New York. The idea of being in New York City and hearing cicadas is eerie and frightening. Like
Yeah.
you cannot hear, like there's not a point in time through the 24 hours of a day in New York City that you can hear something as delicate or as light as a cicada. Will Smith, throughout this movie, there's dead silence in Manhattan, and it's wild to
Yeah,
me.
it is. It's really that was actually really cool, and I like movies that do that, where it's like you can see recognizable places
Yeah.
that are just totally unlike you would ever think. Like this is a completely abandoned place. It's all overrun. The tarps over skyscrapers. Did you see
Yes.
those? I didn't
Yes.
notice that the first time. I was really examining this film, and I didn't realize they were quarantining skyscrapers
Yes.
with tarp. And I was like, man, who's the tarp manufacturer? Because that's a lot. I was like, that's
I
crazy to me.
I couldn't believe, like, one of the scenes that immediately grabbed me and I write it down is Will Smith, to open this movie, is driving a red Mustang. This man is hunting for deer, drives through
Yeah.
Central Park. Like, you can't drive through Central Park. They tried that in Die Hard with a Vengeance and still almost killed people. Drives through Central Park chasing deer with an assault rifle, trying to hunt them down.
It's
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, just the concept. They smack it over your head. They're like, look at this really cool sports car. Look at how fast he can drive in New York City, right? And just do
Yes.
whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then all of a sudden it culminates just stray lions, just lions chilling
A lion,
around in
yeah.
the city. You're like, wait a minute, what is happening?
Yeah, like
That's
just the zoo opened and he's literally just he's in the wild but still in New York at the same time. It's crazy.
right. What was weird to me, and I obviously watching it back, I had seen this film before, but I apparently did not analyze it to the point where I remembered the main aspects of this film. I didn't realize. I thought he quarantined himself whenever he made his choice to stay in New York, and he said, "This is ground zero. I got to stay." For some reason in my head, up until the point where he did that breakdown of how much of the world died, I had thought he was consciously there. Maybe I'm mixing it up with another film where another person stayed in ground zero while the rest of the world lived outside of it. I don't know what that is. I feel like there's another film out there that did that, but I thought he did this on purpose, stayed there while the rest of the world kind of existed more. Obviously, a lot of people died, but I thought there was more people existing out there. But I didn't realize it until he really broke it down, where I was like, "Oh nope, that's not this movie."
Yeah, no, that was very it was a conscious choice, but because he had a mental break and I think that was just his way of coping with I need to get this done. So he's staying there. Like I don't think he had any other reason other than the fact that he was slightly insane at that point.
Yes. So obviously he has his dog named Sam. His name is Robert Neville. He's an accomplished. Well, I don't even know what his title was.
So
What do you think?
he's colonel. They say colonel at one point, but I'm assuming a colonel in the science field. So
Yeah.
like ranks are giving in the military. It doesn't matter what you work in. So he had achieved the rank of colonel, but his work was in science. He was a scientist.
Okay. Cool. All right. So yeah, that was obviously he was a high-ranking officer in the military, and he wound up that whole scene where he just kept flashing back, where it was like you see him and his family. He's got a wife, he's got a kid, and which, by the way, was Willow Smith. That was
Yes.
his actual
Yeah.
daughter, which I thought was cool. He does that. He did that obviously throughout having kids with Willow and Jaden, just
Yeah.
popping up in films when they were kids, whenever they needed a kid. I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't exactly enjoy the outcome of his daughter in this film. What happened with his family? Which
That was terrible. I forgot that had happened. So it was actually still a shock to me until the second to last flashback where he puts
Right.
them in. I was like, oh wait, this doesn't end well. I remembered. Yeah.
I remember
So,
that too. Where I was like, it was once you see the helicopter and then the dog is given up, you're like,
Yes.
oh no, wait a minute, that's why. Okay, wait a minute. I was like,
Yeah.
wait, and it doesn't happen again. There was one more flashback that goes back, and you see they thought they had enough time. They thought they had enough, like 10, 15 minutes, and they did technically get off the ground to get out, but they shot missiles at all the bridges connected
So-
to that. Yeah,
question.
go ahead.
When early on the wife says they're locking down New York City, in my mind and in everything that I know, that means we're barricading off the city. cool, Manhattan's an island, you barricade it. Since when does locking down the city mean blowing up the bridges with people on the bridges so no one could get off and murdering civilians?
I mean, what locking it down means we're just gonna say no one. That's it. Like this is. They said it was ground zero, so they're like, if we can just stop the spread and keep all of them on, you know what I mean? Obviously, New York City, from what I hear, heavily populated. From my understanding, I don't know. You can do your own research. I'm pretty sure there's millions of people there, but yeah, I mean, if that is where the virus started, and that's where everybody knows the virus is, I don't want to say I understand their reasoning. Maybe not to that degree. Maybe, I don't know, trying to lock it down a little in a more humane fashion. But like you said, like seeing what happens to the people, they probably had already known what is coming. I don't know. You can't make. There's no way I'm qualified to make the calls in that situation. But I could see the merit to just say we have to make sure there's no one can come off that island.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say that, but like knowing what happens to those people,
Yeah.
they're going to eat your face. Yeah, I would try to lock that down as fast as you can.
So before we actually know what happens to the people, like we get a scene where Will Smith is asleep at night with his dog, and you just hear noises outside. They're asleep in the bathtub. I thought that was a great touch, like leading up, because we don't know. Like early on in the movie, you don't know. He's just a man alone in New York City. Then he starts barricading his house for some reason, and you're like, why? And then he's laying in a bathtub with his dog, and you just hear these feral noises of animals hunting, and it was just nice. It was a nice little build up. I actually enjoyed that.
Right. I think this movie did a very good job because it is just Will Smith and his dog in an abandoned New York City. For how long you get that until you actually see what the heck is happening. That scene where Sam the dog runs into the dark building. There's so much tension. I mean, you knew it was coming, and I was still like, "Yo, whoa!" Like this is done very well, right? I mean, sure, the people did look weird because they are CGI zombie people.
Yeah.
However, the tension built in that scene with the deer going in there, and then Sam the dog running after the deer, and then you seeing blood, and you're like, oh no, the dog's dead, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And then you see the snout, and even then you're like, oh no, the dog's dead. Oh wait, no, that's the deer. Like, you know what I mean? There's like a sigh of relief where you're like, oh, it's okay, it's the deer. Hopefully the dog's all right.
In that same scene, I realized there's something I like in movies that I didn't know was like a thing I liked. So Will Smith is in that building looking for Sam, and he sees like a herd of the vampire zombie things. Yeah. And he's walking, and they get a shot of him walking on money. And any other person in that scenario is like trying to pick up money, and like, but money in a post-apocalyptic world means nothing.
It's so meaningless.
Like, I love movies where like they show that money just has no value anymore. Like he's walking on thousands of dollars, and it means nothing to him. I like that a lot too. Really, I mean, the only thing it would have been used for just making a fire. But, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's all it's good for. And then I didn't really understand what they were doing. I mean, I'm not gonna pretend to understand the infected's mindset during all this, but it was weird to me that there was a light being shined directly at them, and none of them were they sleeping, huddled up? I don't. What do you think that was going on there?
For me, all right. So, quick backstory in this on the movie. The movie is based on a book, I Am Legend. In the book, Robert Neville is the last surviving person in a society where people have become vampires. So he's going around like murdering vampires. Pretty much, Will Smith isn't really murdering vampires, but Robert Neville in the book murdering vampires. The vampires get him, and they're actually afraid of him the way we're afraid of vampires. So it's called I Am Legend because he is a legend. To them, he's the thing that kills vampires and the thing that scares them. So in this movie, I actually like that they didn't outright say that these are vampires, even though it wouldn't have been bad. I just don't think people would have been drawn to the movie because this is 2 years before Twilight, so vampires don't have that like stigma yet.
They're not cool yet.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah,
like Robert Pattinson and.
But can you imagine like the promotion when people are like, Will Smith's in a vampire movie? Like I don't think that sells as well as what I Am Legend did. So to me, no.
No, go ahead. I'm saying, yeah, I didn't even really put together the fact that those could have been vampires because to me, I'm just in zombie mode. I'm
Yeah.
thinking zombies, but then when you realize that they can't go out in the sun, it's like, oh wait, that's like a vampire. That's like Vampire 101.
Yeah, and so in the book, like garlic crosses sunlight, all that. So in this, they just had the sunlight and they like blood. Those are the two things you know. So it was up to interpretation. But to me, I think they were just sleeping. It was daytime outside, so
Right.
they were just indoors. He was just lucky the first light shine didn't wake them up.
Right. So yeah, upon obviously when you go back and you see Robert Neville's got his first off, I want to say his bunker, amazing. Obviously
So
that was
good.
his home. Kudos to him for locking that puppy down, and then for
Yes.
3 years not getting caught and exposed like where he's at, and
Yes.
for not even knowing like to know that they could even remember. You know what I mean? Like that they would even remember where he's at. I don't know. Like it seemed
So
like he just went on the camera, right, and said when we're getting all over the place, but when he captures one of them,
yeah.
one exposes themselves to the sunlight, and he just writes it off. He says like they've lost all humanity, all like basically human function, and that's that. But to think that they could still remember where you live, I don't know. I don't know
So
what the reasoning is there.
so to me, like I think in him not going back to his house while it was nighttime, it wasn't so much that they could remember, but like if you get one straggler there, then that's just going to draw more of them. So I think it wasn't that he thought they could
Okay.
remember. It was just that he didn't want any in his vicinity. Like he probably went through, cleared that, killed them. As long as they don't stumble upon his area, he's good. New York is big.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
I think it was more that, and I completely like I don't know how him as a scientist could capture one, and then another one gets really angry and then comes outside. How do you write that off as they aren't acting human? That thing
Yeah.
very clearly wanted what he took back.
That's where you kind of lose me in this film, or where I will get to it towards the end here. There was an alternate ending. For everybody who watched this on its initial release, and even I think within a year of it actually being released, you got the one we got, where he. And I'll just say it. He, if you've not seen the film, turn it off. What are you doing? Why are you listening to this? Where he just rips a grenade and dives into this. Right? He just
Yeah.
says he gives the cure that he found to the people. I forget what their names were. Anna, and Ethan, and says,
Yes.
"Get in this little cubby hole. I'm gonna go blow up," and just blows them up, and then that's that. But there is an alternative ending that I feel like this film got caught. I'm speaking on behalf of the original ending. I feel like it got caught trying to do like they had a decision to make whether they wanted to give them the infected people some sort of humanity, and kind of hint at that because they did still do that. And then at
Yeah.
the end, they decided not to. Like, you know what I mean? Like they did both instead of one or the other, and it was like that. I think that was the disconnect when the original film was released. The ending was so disappointing because there were breadcrumbs left that him as a scientist should have picked up on, like you just said. That the very clearly like I don't know what happens in that scene where they move Fred, the mannequin who's at
Yeah.
the movie store.
Yeah.
Somebody moved him, right? Somebody moved him to that location. He's obviously visibly rattled in that situation, and he's like, "What the hell's going on? Somebody's playing a game with me." He finds out who's playing the game, and then there's nothing said about it after. After all that trauma, the dogs attack the dog. Unfortunately, okay, this is I don't want to just gloss over this because the dog Sam dying in this film,
I wrote that
heartbreaking.
down. Yeah, I wrote that. You actually, those are the words off my note. I wrote heartbreaking scene, losing Sam. Yeah.
Literally broke me, and it never gets easy, right? So I swore. I watched the movie Marley and Me before. I don't know if anybody else is listening has ever watched that movie, but Marley and Me, Owen Wilson. It's a great book. They made a film.
I have not
I
seen that, by the way.
Okay, I'll tell you, it's one of the best movies I'll never watch again in my entire life. I won't do
Okay.
it. I just won't put myself through it. Because if you ever had a dog, you obviously you see the entire lifespan of this dog, and then you see the end, and you don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. It's incredibly depressing, and I don't want to go through that. But it's a good film. This movie is in that same category. I don't know why I chose this film. I missed Will Smith. I wanted to go back to it again. Nothing topical in the news about Will Smith. I don't know why that came up. Tongue in cheek, and I'll tell you, I don't know. I'm not going to say I forgot that scene, but when it started happening, I'll be honest with you. I hit the skip for like 15 seconds a couple of times. I was like, bang, bang, bang. He's still. Then it was like him just muffling the fighting of the dog, and then I was like, bang, bang. I got to get out of this. I can't. It like
The
killed
worst,
me.
you might have missed it, but the worst part afterwards was when he lets go. It just flops over to the
Yeah.
side.
No, I didn't.
Like
I saw
limp.
it.
Yeah.
Killed me, dude. And it's never easy. It's never going to be easy, even though I know it's coming. I'm like, eh. What's funny is the deer that got mauled by the infected. I'm like, oh, thank God it wasn't the dog. Don't care about you, little deer, because I'm not invested.
Yeah.
Sam is the supporting character in this film.
Sam's the
dog,
last surviving member of the family.
Yes, it's so bad, and especially when you remember the context of how he was bestowed this animal, right? That makes it even worse. So much more. Oh my God, it hurts.
You know what
hurts.
added another layer to me? Like when I first watched this, and I remember when throughout the whole movie he's calling it Sam, but when it gets hurt, he calls her Samantha, and you realize it's a female. For some reason, that just added an extra. Like, how did the dog get character development? That doesn't make sense. Like,
Okay, so the kid probably named it, right? His kid probably named it Samantha, and then just obviously naturally, you're not going to say all those syllables for a dog. You're going to be like, oh, Sammy, Sam. Like that's it.
Him saying Samantha for the first time, that like made it even worse. The whole thing.
It did, because it's like when your parent uses your middle name, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh God, like okay,
Yes.
it's one of those, yeah. So that's when you use the full 3 syllables, Samantha.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, enough about the dog. So yeah, that was what I was saying. Is I think he missed a lot of the breadcrumbs that this film was trying to drop. That he should have been like, yeah, there should have been a video follow up to be like, something's happening. Like they're coming for, like they're upset about something. Obviously, you got to put 2 and 2 together, and he didn't do that in this film.
The thing is, in his like a weakened state, like overall, like you could tell his mentality, other than being analytical, his mentality was fractured this entire movie. So like he loses Sam, and I actually wrote down in my notes, like after that, he loses sight of his entire goal. Like on a scientist, he loses his dog, he'll get upset, but he continues to work towards a cure. He says, screw that, I'm going to kill as many as I can. Yeah. And just goes on this vengeance suicide mission. And I just thought that someone who already lost his daughter and his wife and decided, I'm going to make a cure, the losing of the dog would be another nail, but it shouldn't have closed the coffin. Like that should have upset him, but he would have continued his work. Him just going off the deep end, I don't know.
I'm putting myself in his shoes. If that happened, I'd do the same. I would have done the same. I'd have been like, I'm rolling out at night and we're thumping these things with this. You know what I mean? I would have just been on a rampage.
You just say
I don't blame him at all.
You just
I don't say screw the cure, but
that's what he did.
You said, I'm telling you, I would have probably done the same thing. Obviously, trying to put yourself in his shoes. The dog was the last attachment he had to his family, right? And it was his family. So it's like, that's it. You just did the calculations in your head that you just told to this Anna whenever she eventually pops up and saves the day on that pier. It's just you, dude. Everyone else is dead, right? As far as he's concerned, it's just him, the dog, and all these infected people. So when you lose the last living creature in your life, like, I mean, I don't blame him, dude. I don't know. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And there's a lot that they do to like show where his mind is in this movie. I thought it was crazy when he goes and he returns the DVD to the video store. He doesn't just ransack that place and like take all the DVDs he wants. He sets up a scenario so he can live through a routine. Right. And I thought that was really interesting. Like he sets up these mannequins so he could go through and pretend like he has some semblance of life, and that makes you think he wants to be sane, but that's a really insane thing to do.
Right. I guess on the outside looking in, you're like, that is insane. But like, I honestly, like, given the scenario, I don't really blame him. Like, it is something. It's the last grasp at like humanity, like a normal life. Like you're trying to do something to stay sane while you're also trying to do another thing to save the freaking planet. Like I don't know. There's a lot of heavy undertones in this movie, And I guess they're overtones because they're like it's literally banging over the head. But I don't know. I feel like this movie got glossed over because of the reaction to the ending of the film. I feel like this movie should have been held on a higher pedestal than it really got. And
it was better than I think it was received.
For sure. Even going back and watching it right now, I mean, this is 15 years later, and I'm still watching it and thinking like this. I wish there was more to this, but with the original ending you got, Will Smith is DEAD. He literally exploded. But which leads me to the alternate ending. And I asked you before we recorded, I was like, hey, just real quick, did you see the alternate ending? I want to make sure we were on the same page. Did you watch it? Because it is available on like YouTube, and you can see the alternate ending to this film that they wound up doing or releasing because of the backlash of the way that the original film ended. And you said that,
yeah, I did. So where I watched this movie, it actually gave me the alternate ending first, and I was like, I knew for a fact this was not the ending I originally saw. I was very confused. So, are we gonna run it down now? Like what? Happens?
Break down. So everyone knows. Obviously, you already watched this film. What happens at the end is he finds the cure. Like the I don't want to say cadaver. It's a real person. Like the infected lady that he wound up. Yes, the subject was being healed, like was in the process and turned around. The BPMs were dropping. It was becoming a normal human being again, which is crazy to me because when you think zombies, you think these people are deteriorated to beyond repair.
Well, they're not zombies.
Yeah, now they're not that. They're not zombies. So no matter what, even though they exhibit zombie behavior, but no. So he's got the cure. He draws the blood. He says, "Take this cure, and I'm going to make sure these people." These infected here that are just savagely trying to break down the glass aren't going to stop anybody. So he just takes a grenade, blows them up. That's that. Yes. And then obviously Anna and Ethan, the kid, show up at the sanctuary for the last remaining human with the cure. And then you're led to believe that because of Robert Neville's sacrifice and him finding the cure, he did both to get the to do it. That he's now the legend.
Yes,
but yeah, so that's the original.
And that it a little upsets me because earlier on he makes a. I pick up on small things because I'm a computer nerd. He makes a point to say that he's saving all of his research on 6 redundant drives, and then they all just blow up. Like he doesn't he doesn't pass his research on at all. Like you're saving on 6 redundant drives, and then you blow them all up with a grenade. So that upset me. But
I did not enjoy that.
The alternate ending. So Neville, Anna, and Ethan are with the subject behind a plexiglass wall while her boyfriend and his crew are trying to bash their way in. And then they stop, and in a moment of humanity, the one main vampire draws like a butterfly on the window because his girlfriend, the subject, had a butterfly tattoo. Neville hears his daughter say what she said earlier on in the movie, "Daddy, it's a butterfly." And he decides to give up his subject. So he unattaches her. He takes out the cure. She starts to turn back into a vampire. And the main vampire takes his girlfriend back, and then they leave. And you're like, oh, so they just made a deal. Neville apologized and everything's cool. And then him and Anna and Ethan decide to take the research and the cure, and they just go to pass it on. So there, to me, there's pros and cons in both of these endings. Like, my main con of the original ending is that Neville dies, and I read up on a few things after this, because clearly Anna even says, there's room for you in here, get in, so why doesn't he jump into that chute, throw the grenade, and leave? One. The thing is, he, at this point, has given up. Like, he gave up 3 years ago. His main purpose was making that cure, and then he was going to probably die no matter what. So he was like, all right, I did my job. I want to be with my family. And then he blows himself up. I get it.
Right.
I've never been in his spot to be able to say I would give up on life that easily, but that's just me.
Right.
And in the second one, the drawing of the butterfly on the window just felt very Martha to me, if you know what I'm getting.
Yeah, they didn't have to do the drawing of the butterfly. I think they still could have found common ground, and that thing could have exhibited some sort of humanity instead of like all
Yeah.
of a sudden I'm hey, remember butterflies? Butterflies are cool.
Yeah.
Like that is kind of weird, but
Like he could point at the subject, he could be
yeah,
like he could do something, but he draws a butterfly, and it really reminds me of Justice or Batman vs Superman, where they realize both of their moms' names are Martha, and then they find common ground that way.
that
So
yeah.
that other than that, I loved the alternative ending. It was just the butterfly that really got me.
For sure. I 100% agree. And again, if you haven't seen this, just it's a quick Google search or a YouTube search. You can see the alternate ending of I Am Legend, and you can be on the same page with us and make your decision on your own. I mean, if you like the way the original one ended and you like seeing Will Smith explode, first off, you're disgusting. And second off, then so be it. That's fine. But no, I do think that even the world that they made, I think there could have been more if they kept the alternative ending as canon, which honestly we'll get to that in a second. They might have. We don't even know that for sure yet. But if that was officially canon at the time, I think there would have been a sequel. You know what I mean? Or a spin-off or something. I think that would have been okay. But the fact that you killed the main character that we grew to love and root for, because he's literally the only guy in the movie.
Yeah.
It kind of broke that desire for a sequel, right? And it also kind of broke the longevity of this film. Like, I feel like because Will Smith died at the end, everybody's like, oh, yeah, that one, right? That movie. Okay,
Yeah.
sure. But had he lived, people would have been like, oh, I Am Legend, that movie was good. Like,
Yeah.
and it was good. I'll give it that. No matter what ending you chose or what they chose, it still to me was a good movie. I think it was really
one thing that I think they would do now if they remake this movie compared to then, the CGI of the main vampire, the main villain, I think they make it look a lot more like some actor, like the Eric Bana Hulk, and then you get the Mark Ruffalo Hulk
Yeah.
where he looks a lot more like Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. I feel like that main vampire is like some actor.
There
Like
was I will say there was some proportionate issues when the thing was growling and yelling where his head became the size of a torso. I don't know. It was like he looked like The Mask. He looked like Jim Carrey put the mask on and was like, it was his face was
It
enormous.
reminded me of The Mummy, like when he was not completely human yet, where he was like getting body parts still and he was like screaming and stuff. It reminded me a lot of that.
Yeah, 100% agree. I 100% agree with that. So the reason why I say I think that they may have decided the alternate ending is officially canon and is what happened at the end of this movie, because on March 4th of 2022,
My birthday.
this year, yes, they did this because of you, okay, specifically.
For me.
It was announced that a sequel to the movie I Am Legend, this very movie, it is. I'm not even say was. It is currently in development with Will Smith reprising his role as Robert Neville, and he will be joined by Michael B. Jordan. Both actors will also produce. And the original screenplay writer will I don't want to butcher her name here, but Avika Goldsman will be reprising the screenplay writing as well.
I want so bad to be in that movie. Like Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan. I need to be in that movie.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, obviously, we're gonna be looking at it. I don't know how much of a fan you are of I Am Legend in the first place, but I was a big fan. There's a reason why I picked this film. I think it's really good, and I would say underrated. And I think if they somehow they're gonna have to when this one comes out, not show the ending, the alternate ending, or they're going to have to give an explanation and bridge the gap, because to a lot of the people who are going to come in and watch this sequel, they're going to be thinking, didn't you explode at the end of that film? Because not everybody is going to see the alternative ending.
What if they go the flashback route? What if they don't canonize the alternate and then Will Smith is just there through flashbacks? Like that's
entirely possible. But you're saying they're going to find his research in all the rubble of the explosion?
Exactly is what I was going to say. They could find his research. His drives will miraculously have been put away somewhere safe. And then they're just reliving his research through flashbacks or through his voice. And yeah.
That's entirely possible. And honestly, if that's the way they go, it'll probably be easier for the main audience to understand. But yeah, it is going to be weird to be like, how are they going to explain if he is actually reprising his role to expand on it? You died, bro. You died in the main film.
Yes. Yes.
how are you doing this? And who knows? They're definitely not going to put his pieces back together from his explosion. They're
No,
going to have to use the other alternate ending. Literally the only way.
he was not that
Um,
kind of doctor.
no, well, even if he imagine he's just in pieces and somehow finds a way to put himself back together and then show up to the sanctuary.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've gone too far there. That doesn't make any sense. Anything else about this film? I know we talked about the alternate ending. I will say real quick, the kid from this film, and I didn't even realize it until I went to IMDb, and I was like, oh my God, that's the kid. The kid Ethan in this film is Wyatt on the show Ozark on Netflix with Jason Bateman. I had no idea. And it is kind of crazy that this is back in 2007. This kid is doing work. And in Ozark, he looks relatively young. I thought this was like one of his first gigs in Ozark, but apparently not. This kid was putting in work a long time ago, so that good for him.
I do have two things. Yeah, two.
Okay.
So I actually felt like this movie did justice for helicopter noise. We got on Inception about it. They were yelling quite loud and had a hard time hearing each other under the helicopter. I thought you'd enjoy that a little bit more.
It was better. I'll say it was better than the Inception one. However, I still don't believe you can do that. Period. Without headphones, I still don't even think you can hold a conversation at point blank range.
Okay.
And exchange information. It'd be very close. Like, I don't know. It's much better. Like I said, it's obviously much more realistic. But I appreciate you calling that back.
Yeah.
I
got
still
you.
don't think you could have that dialogue
So
by a helicopter.
And another thing I might want to try to do more in these movies is me having a science background. I might try to break down because he says a bit of science jargon here, and that I decided to take time to write down and break down. So for those of you who don't know, I do have a doctorate in physical therapy. And he says a bunch of stuff in here that immediately caught my ear. So just so you know what we're dealing with. So first off, if these are following the books, these are vampires. The reason I'm thinking vampires instead of zombies is what he says later on. So he starts off by saying, when he has the subject on the table, he's using 6 times the normal dose of Dilaudid to keep this thing down. Dilaudid's a heavy sedative. It's a painkiller. 6 times the normal dose would probably kill a person. This thing is like zonked out, but breathing at a mile a minute on the table. That was how he started. Then he said it had a temperature of 106. That was its chilling temperature. We work at like 96 to 99. A temperature of 106 would immediately start organ failure. We're dead. Immediately.
Right. That's fair.
Immediately dead.
Well, you know what? Kudos to them, though. 106 honestly doesn't sound that insane for what those things were doing, though. Like, you know what I mean? 106, I was like, they're pretty close. We could get that. We could work with that.
Yep. He goes on to say heart rate is 200. 200 on 6 times the human amount of Dilaudid. So that means when these things are like working and running, their heart rate's probably like 250, 300. We sit is 70 to 80, 70 to 90. 200 is us in a dead sprint.
Yeah. And even then,
even then, most people don't get up to 200. This thing is resting on a table at 200. That's how fast it's. Yeah.
A specimen.
And then what else? And then just more stuff about how much oxygen it's using, and that's why I think it's a vampire, not a zombie, is that it's actually using 3 times the amount of oxygen that a human would have.
So you've enlightened me, obviously, throughout this film and talking about it. I was just so set. I mean, I'm a Walking Dead guy. I love the zombie. I'll say this. I never loved the zombies until I watched Walking Dead. I specifically enjoyed Walking Dead, and I will say people are like, Walking Dead, that show's still going? Yeah. Okay. So they're on the last season. I'm going to see it through, people. I'm too invested. So just so everyone knows, The Walking Dead. I'm on the zombie train. So when I saw this and saw the way that they were acting, I wasn't even putting 2 and 2 together that the sunlight and the blood was attract, or you know what I mean? Like that I wasn't even playing. So yeah, I would say for sure, they're vampires, more vampires than zombies, which is cool. So
yeah.
Good for the integrity of their husk, because if they were zombies, they'd be falling apart.
Yeah.
Has anybody ever said that before? Your husk has good integrity. You're gonna say that on like the day to day at work or no?
No, there's so many freaking Doyleisms coming out of this thing that I don't even know what's going on.
It's hard to keep up sometimes. Even myself, I baffle myself. But anyway, so anything else? That's pretty much wrap it up. We should probably get to the draft. I don't think
Yes.
there were a lot of crazy props in this film, so I don't think this draft will be too long. I did just want to hit on this film because, again, Will Smith. I just wanted to talk about him. Again, no particular reason. Just wanted to bring him up again for our podcast. So, all right, let's get to the draft. I will be selecting first, and for people who do not know, this is the part of the podcast where we select props and memorabilia, whatever we can take from this film that will live on forever, and we pick it in a manner that we have an infinity room full of props. We can fit whatever we want in any size, but important props from this film. We love movie props. We love the idea of having a part of whatever film that we're talking about, or just owning a piece of a film that you love. I think that's like an amazing thing that would be really cool to do. So we're going to draft, much like fantasy football or any sort of fantasy sports, where I will select and then Tyler will make a selection and we'll go back and forth, just picking them off the board. I think with this movie, there wasn't a whole crazy lot, so our baseline is about 3 picks apiece. So there'll be total 6 picks made in this draft, and I will be kicking it off. I don't know how you felt about this, but man, it was pretty slim pickings for a lot of this film. And then at the end, I was like, oh, there's a few. Like, that's where I was at. All right. So there's a couple things that are important to the film, like as far as just like I said, just importance to the plot, to the story. I still don't think I'm going to select it, though. I feel like, to me, I don't know I can't really describe why, but that opening scene, when he's running around, driving around, like you said, in the Mustang, the red Mustang, and he's hunting a deer. I don't know why. I just think it's crazy to me. I'm taking the gun, though, not the vehicle. I'm taking.
Whoa! I mean,
I'm taking his rifle. I looked it up. It's an M4 carbine rifle.
Okay.
And he uses it throughout the film. So initially, I had wrote it down. And then I was like, does he reuse this gun? I know he uses a few other guns, but I just want to make sure if this is one. That's his boo, all right? He takes that thing everywhere. And it saved him a few times, right? Quite a few times. It saved his butt. So I'm taking the M4 carbine, that it is his gun of choice. He obviously has a gun locker. You see it in the film. Yeah. And I thought that was funny when they busted open that gun locker and he's got the copy of Goodfellas.
Goodfellas, yep.
I was like, all right, wait a minute. I forgot that he made a run to the movie store, and I was like, why is that in there? Oh yeah, he goes back and he mentions I made it through the G's, so he's watching like all these movies in alphabetical order, so that's pretty cool. But that being said, I'm taking his Roberts rifle M4 carbine. I think that's a really cool piece it's basically it's his boo, other than the dog. I mean, that's his number one weapon of choice.
Is Goodfellas the last movie in the letter G in a video store? I feel like there's got to be more after G.
No, that's definitely
or after Goodfellas.
That's definitely not the last one. I think he said made it. Yeah, he made it through G's. I don't know. Maybe he meant to say, hey, look, he's talking to mannequins, bro. I don't know if he's gonna be on his game, but yeah,
he's trying to spit game at a mannequin.
Hey, I mean, I'm gonna say hey to her tomorrow. He doesn't. That was sad though. When he finally comes back. Obviously, Sam dies, and he said, "I told my friend, oh God, that's another scene that where you're like, come on."
And he's like, "Please say hi to me."
Please say hi.
Yeah.
All right. Will Smith crushed it in this movie.
He did.
Emotionally, action, everything. He carried this film. This film with anybody else is like a 5, right? With him alone, bumps it up about 2.5, maybe 3.5, like, or you know what I mean? He carries this film with his acting performance. I'll give him that.
Do you think 2007 Leo could do this movie?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think he probably could. I think he could get there. I think he could do a lot of the similar things. I don't know if he's as good a crier as Will Smith is. Will is cry,
incredible.
Bro.
Oh my God.
He can tear up. His eyes go red, and you're like, this man is going through it, right?
Yes.
Him in this, and like Pursuit of Happiness, and like, oh my God, dude. No, I think Will Smith does it better than Leo, but that's a good question. I think Leo probably could have done an admirable job.
Okay.
But Will Smith, I'm glad he did it. All right, you're up. I took the M4 carbine. That's
You took
where I'm
that.
at.
You took them for. I'm gonna take something that they did a good job of flashing things that I thought were good props in this. So he's cooking for him and Sam, and he goes to the refrigerator, opens up the refrigerator, and they flash on the screen a Time magazine cover that has Robert Neville on the front, and it says "Savior?" question mark. I want that Time magazine cover.
Wait, was it on the TV or was it real?
It was real. It was on. It was
Oh,
on the refrigerator. It was a pinup.
oh yes. Okay, all right, that's a
Yeah,
good one.
yeah.
Okay,
I want that. I
all right.
want that pinup. That's literally could only be from one movie. Like that. I want that. That felt very good.
Yeah, that was a subtle jab at me just picking a gun, but thanks a lot. No, I get it. It's fine. It's fine. All right. I know I don't like doing. I usually don't like doing that. I don't like taking just like the weapon, right? Because like the weapon
Yeah.
could literally be anything, or like displaying that is problematic. You know what I mean? If somebody comes in and they're like, "Ooh, guns? You're a gun family?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. It's a movie prop. You have to have like the certificate and everything. You got to explain. But the Time magazine with the Robert Neville, I think that's a solid pick. So Robert Neville's Time magazine cover, that's pretty solid. That's pretty
Thank you.
solid. So
Thank you.
let me go to. I'm not gonna jab at the pick like you. I mean, and I feel like I was personally attacked, but it's okay.
I've just done this before. You know.
Yeah, no, you do this. You do this. Okay, so there were a few things that I don't know where I want to go with this. I think I should probably pick something impactful, and I think I might. Well, no, because then I'm going to be like a freaking artillery unit. I don't want to do that, so never mind. I'm throwing that aside.
I say you go for it, man.
No, I don't want to be the munitions. All right. I think this is tough too because I feel like you could have. I don't want to spoil any other picks for you, but I'm about to make one right now, so I feel like I can say it out loud to make you a little uncomfortable. But I feel like you could have opened up an Apple store with this film.
Yeah,
There was
you
a lot of
could've.
Apple products throughout the film, and I'm sure that I don't know. At that point, was it just cool to have Apple products? Do you think Apple probably paid to get those in there?
2007.
That was
Yeah,
like
Apple
iPhone
was on
peak.
its rise. Yeah, because he had I forgot what they were called at
There
this
was a
point.
pod,
The
iPod.
iPod. Thank
You
you.
had to,
My
yeah.
brain just melted. Like I was digging for that
Oh,
memory. Yeah,
yeah.
he had like the original OG iPod. So iPod was on its rise, or Apple was on its rise right now.
Yeah, I loved that. Just seeing that iPod, I was like, oh, baby. That thing,
Yeah.
so many memories with those. But that's not what I'm picking because that was such a small feature. I want his laboratory. If you go into his lab, right, the computer that was doing all the recording. I think it was an iMac. It could be like a GMac. I don't know what they were calling it back then, but I'm pretty sure it was like an iMac. So I want
Yes.
his iMac computer, which at the time I believe around 2007. Well, this is recorded just before. That was a pretty futuristic model
Yes.
for
Yes.
that time. So when you saw it in the movies, you're like, damn, that's a nice Apple computer. So I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take his laboratory iMac computer,
Are you
and I
taking
feel like,
the 6 redundant drives with it?
oh, I mean, I don't know. It's up to you. I don't want to just claim a
Oh,
whole
take
table's
those.
worth of
Take
stuff.
those.
Take
Take
the
those.
drives.
Yeah,
Okay, so
take
I
the
want his
drives.
computer with the drives, the laboratory computer setup. I will take that and be happy with it because again, all his data is on there, and they can't make a sequel without this prop. So they're gonna have to come back to me, and I want to rent it out to them for the next film. So I mean,
I
I'm in
will.
control here.
I will not jab at you because that was next on my list.
For
That
real?
was yes,
Really?
yes.
All right. So when I
That
said
was.
Apple Store, you clinched a little bit. You're like, oh, where'd you go with this?
I knew right away. I knew right away.
Okay. I will say I did write down the iPod though. I was like, when I saw that first, I was like, ooh, that iPod. But that was strictly just personal reasons because I have an attachment. I was like, man, I do miss my iPod. I know a lot of people were Zune back then. I don't know if you were
Yeah,
a Zuner or
I
not.
was.
You know what? You're the type. You're the type. Yeah, you had Zune when I first met you. I was like, this guy had a Zune. You can just meet those people. You
Yeah,
just know.
I
Yeah.
had a
All right.
Zune.
Okay. I don't know if
I
that
did.
felt like offensive to you in any way, but I just felt like I'm not surprised at all that you had a Zune. Okay, continue.
So if we're going things that impactful, I think something that was pretty impactful. I don't even know how to lead up to this. I want the eye scanner.
Oh, yeah, that
Yeah,
was interesting. I really
I
didn't
want.
understand that technology.
I didn't either, especially since he scanned once. It came up that she was positive for infected. She scans again and then negative. How many people were left on that bridge because of a misreading or a false
Right.
positive?
Yeah, it really kind of leads you to believe that, like, which honestly I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, we're out here doing COVID tests,
Yeah.
and I mean we're getting false positives like crazy that way too. So it's really I'm not shocked at this point, knowing
Yeah.
that we've kind of gone through the pandemic. It's like, yeah, I could see that. That doesn't make any sense. But I
Yeah.
didn't even realize whenever they showed it that's what they were scanning for. Like
Yeah.
initially, I was like, they're scanning a database to see who's important enough to make it past. You know what I mean? I thought it was like one of those. I didn't
Yeah.
realize it was a sickness scanner.
Yes. Yep.
So
It was,
now that okay, that makes sense.
Yep. So I want that retina scanner. I like
You know
those
who really
handhelds.
didn't have the retinas that would have passed? The lady that was crying blood.
Yeah. Yes. Take
She's
my
like, "No,
baby. I'm not
scan me."
infected. I'm not
She was-
infected. Like, lady, you're literally crying tears of blood right now. Like, there's blood rolling down your eyes.
I felt so bad. Obviously, we're sitting here laughing, but like it was an incredibly depressing scene where she's got her kid and she's like, "Please just take my kid," which is so sad. Especially as a parent, I'm like, "Holy crap, that actually really hurts." But she was shooting her shot. I mean,
Yes.
she was shooting her shot.
Yes.
Please, I'm not infected. Oh, yeah, she looked more infected than the actual vampires that we saw later, 3 years later.
Yes.
Anyway.
I'd like to say, by the way, because Willow, after that, she's like, why can't that little girl come with us? Willow killed it as a child. Like,
Oh, she was so good.
Yeah, she was absolutely killing her lines. Like, she was, I was just impressed. It didn't feel forced. It felt really good.
Yeah, 100%. She was a better actor in this film than Jaden was in that weird sci-fi one.
I
with Will
knew
Smith.
you were going there. After
Was
Earth,
it After
yes.
Earth? Oh, baby.
I mean, arguably, Will Smith wasn't great in that either. That accent was...
That
was...
film should not have even happened.
No, see, the thing is, the film should have happened. They just could have done better. Because
they phoned it in a bit.
I'm just saying, like, that movie gave good... Like, I still sometimes quote, like, danger is real, fear is a choice.
Okay. Yeah, so you're saying
Like,
there's some good one-liners, like
yes.
good motivational quotes.
Yeah.
Like, Pinterest thanks you for this movie. Like, is that what you're telling me? Or no, what was it back in the day? Was it like Tumblr?
Yeah,
It was Tumblr back in the day. Some good Tumblr quotes came from After Earth, but as far as, like, cinematic genius, you weren't getting a lot of that there.
No.
But yes, I agree with you. Willow, she was obviously a kid. Probably the best Will Smith child performance in a film. I think pretty good. I mean, that's up there, right? I mean,
yeah, I would say.
It's hard to look down the list. I mean, there was some other one. Well, wait a minute.
I was gonna say Jaden in
Karate Kid.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I just remembered that. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
man, okay, maybe I take it back. That Karate Kid was actually pretty good. I did enjoy that Karate Kid movie. So
Yeah.
All right, sorry, Jaden. After Earth, though, you'll never lose that, bro. Sorry. Okay, let's move on. Pick number 5, my third and final pick. You just picked the eye scanner, which the sickness eye scanner. I don't know. I guess that's what we're calling it.
You didn't have to throw sickness. It could just be the eye scanner.
Well, I specifically wrote sickness down because, like you said, I thought when I watched the film that it was scanning for like how important these people are. Like they were connected to the colonel, right? You know, that's why I was like, maybe there was a disconnect. It makes the rescan situation a little more believable, where it's like, no, it's just trust me, she's in the system. Like, but now I'm like, oh no, it was just doing it wrong, trying to find the actual illness. Okay, so I have the gun, I have the computer. I mean, everything pretty much revolves around Robert anyway, right?
I
mean,
love
that's
around every time we do this around pick 5, the sigh comes out. Like I might have to make a compilation of the Doyle sigh.
You could probably go back and just be like, oh, jeez. And it's not because I'm disappointed with what's left. I'm disappointed that I have one more pick, and I'm not saying that to go. I don't want another round. Please don't.
No, don't do
expand,
it to me.
No, I don't want another round. But I do think there's still a couple things that are good, and I just don't know which way to lean based off of my other picks. That I feel I just want a nice round. I don't know. You know what I mean? I just want the prop room to be. I don't want to get another Apple product.
No,
all right, let's be real here.
Okay.
So one is wardrobe. I will say one is wardrobe, and the other. Man, I just don't know how it would look. It's so small. I don't know. That's what she said. Okay, so I don't know if I'm allowed to do that on this podcast, right? I think
You
we're.
already did. It's already done.
Oh,
Ask for
all right. Well, the
forgiveness.
higher ups, yeah, the higher ups are going to be on me about that one. All of our sponsorships have now been dropped. Which, by the way, if you'd like to sponsor us, we're available. We have open slots. Okay, so I think I'm just going to go with it. I think you picked the Time cover about Robert Neville. I think that's a really cool piece, and like you said, it's only from this film. I think I'm going to take Robert Neville's lab coat. He's got a white coat. It's got his name on it. It's like totally legit. I think that might be. He's wearing it obviously when he's in the lab because that's what you do. You know, that's the only way people know you're a scientist or a doctor or whatever. You got to have the white coat. I mean, without the white coat, you're nothing. You're a poser. So, which you're right. This is all facts.
I could go grab my white coat. No.
No, wait, no, I don't want you flexing on me, man. I'm like that. Like everything I say is illegitimate. Doesn't make any sense. You come in here and it's yeah. No, I don't want. I don't. You can't dunk on me on the podcast. I mean, come on. All right. Well, let's wait till the cameras are off. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna take Robert Neville's laboratory coat, and I feel like that's pretty good. I usually kind of shy away from wardrobe, but again, like this film, it's really just him. So what's impactful? He wore a lot of clothing, but I don't think any more is as important as his lab coat because you see it when he's doing actual work. So
I will say that they do have a scene where he has his Converse on the bed.
Ooh.
And I looked at those and I was like, those are pretty good, but that's like really the only shine they get. I for a minute I thought that this was iRobot, and I wanted the black skull cap because I remember him wearing it. But that was iRobot. So
I will say before we went into this film, we were probably seconds away from going iRobot. It was a 50-50 throw up, and I picked I Am Legend. I don't know why. I just leaned this way. I think it probably had something to do with the fact that the announcement of the sequel. That was really the only tie-in. No other tie-ins for any particular reason. As I keep saying this throughout the entire podcast, nothing happened with Will Smith, people. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, I'm going to slap it on over to you for the last pick. You have the sixth pick. What? What happened? We're just drafting here. Jeez, was that two? That was two on the head there.
The worst part is it's the second time you did it today. I let the first one go.
No, I'm going to do it. It's okay.
If you go back to like minute 20.
We tried to gloss over it, but
if you go back to like minute 20, he throws one in and I just let it go. But my God,
incredible composure by you. But this to go an hour deep into the podcast, it hits a little better. It hits a little better the second time. All right. So you have the final pick in the draft. I just picked the lab coat. You know what's available. Go for it, man. Wrap it up. Let's get out of here.
So if we're doing things that Neville wore throughout this movie, I think there were quite a few things, but one thing that I liked, I'm gonna take a little bit of what you did in our last movie, The Kingsman. I want Neville's glasses with the camera on them.
Ooh, so I wrote that down, and I was like, man, I wish that came with the computer, but I couldn't. That wasn't a full setup. I feel like it just definitely was. It looked really cool. It looked really cool doing science stuff.
I want the glasses with the camera like that. That to me, for some reason, was just really cool.
It kind of gave me like, you know how like in Russia you always see dash cam? You know, it's like you always have they're just always rolling. Do you think we'll get to a point where doctors just have dash cam on their camera ready to go at any time? So just in case, I don't know.
There's no reason that they can't now. They do have some. So like surgeons will have similar things.
Oh, right, yeah.
So like there's no reason like doctors can't now, except for like HIPAA violations and stuff.
Oh
like
yeah,
like,
I guess that would be pretty weird to be like, all right, drop your pants. Oh wait, my camera. Yeah. Okay, that would be a bit much. Never mind.
So that's probably the only reason. Like you don't record sessions with your patient because that's just crazy.
Right. I guess if you go into a practice and your doctor's rolling video, maybe probably go to another practice.
Yes, that's probably not an actual doctor.
Yes. Also, that's a garage. That's a garage in someone's house. Why would you walk in there? Okay, let me wrap up this draft. We're getting a little slap happy. We got to get the hell out of here. Okay, so first pick in the draft, I pick Robert's M4 carbine rifle, which I keep saying M4. I looked it up, all right? I did the research, so I got to keep hammering that home, as if I know what that means other than Call of Duty. But anyway, the second pick, you picked Robert Neville's Time magazine cover. Very cool choice. I didn't even have that written down, and I remember seeing it. I don't know why. Earlier on in the movie, I think I was just so caught up in trying to remember everything that happened. I just glossed over it. I missed a lot of good stuff, I'm sure. I probably should watch it again to just be like, oh, man, I could have got all this. Okay, so my third pick overall, I picked the Robert Neville. I don't know why I'm even saying Robert Neville over everything. It's all his crap in this film. I'm taking his iMac computer in his lab. I feel like that was a good pick. I really liked the way those computers looked back in the day.
It was cool.
And you took, at 4, you took the eye scanner / sickness scanner. I had a guy. Sorry. You said why you do that? I just want to clarify for everybody. It was scanning if they were sick or not, because some people like me didn't pick up on that. And then I picked Robert's lab coat, and then you picked, what was it again? One more time? Here it is. The glasses. I literally just wrote Roberts. And then I got caught up in whether or not your doctor should have a camera on him at all times, and now here we are. Woo! All right, we are doing this.
Oh my God, my goodness.
Okay, this has been a good time. I've had fun.
Were there other things you had written down or other ideas that you had?
Yes. Remember when I said I didn't want to do a munitions depot? The grenade at the end of the film.
That's okay.
Which again, if I didn't know there was going to be a sequel, probably would have picked it. But now that I know that there's a sequel and there's a possibility that end wasn't real, which also may actually make it more collectible. You know what I mean? Now that I'm thinking of it, maybe I should have. But I didn't pick the grenade that he takes in, and then the vial with the cure.
Yes,
that was on my list. That was the thing that was a little too small, but I thought I wanted the lab coat a little bit better, just because it got the name on it. I thought that looked a little bit cool, but just a little thing of blood. I don't know.
So there was actually 2 vials I thought of. There's the final vial with the subject's blood, and then early on he takes a vial of his own blood to use as a lure.
Right.
That was one thing I thought of. I also thought of the Converse on the bed that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, those look pretty sweet.
And Fred, the mannequin. So other than the mannequin he was spitting game at, Fred actually I felt like with its outfit on would have been a good pick with the orange zip up hoodie.
Bullet holes and all.
Yes, I felt
like you
Fred
want to post-attack or pre-attack?
Pre-attack. Fred.
Okay, all right. You want to have a friend to talk to. I get it.
Yes.
No, that's cool.
And my last thing, they actually had another cover. So when he's going into the house and he picks up like the Spam and some other stuff, he opens a cabinet, and on that cabinet there's a infected dogs can come out newspaper cover. So there's one that shows like a zombie dog, and it's like stay inside at night. Like it's one of those like PSA public service announcements. Yeah,
that's a good one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, I can see that. Yeah. Oh, wait, was that it? I'm cutting you off. Was that all?
That was it.
Okay, so one more that I had that looked like above his fireplace there was the Starry Night painting.
Oh,
you see that? I'm pretty sure that was up there. That looks pretty cool. And in my head, I was like, is there what museums are in New York? Because he could have literally picked up any pieces he wanted and brought them home.
When he's fishing, it looks like he's in the Museum of Modern Art. When he's fishing for, I think that's the MoMA, because I've been there before, and I think that's where he was.
So my question there is, how are those fish still alive 3 years later? Who's feeding those things? Like, are they just... No, come on. For 3 years, he's going to that museum to keep those fish alive?
For 3 years, he's doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand how those could have... Like, I'm just thinking of, like, in my head, a koi pond, at like a restaurant. Who's keeping those fish? They're dead. They're going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I agree. And one thing that was not an actual prop that I wanted to bring out, I remember it caused a big stir when this movie came out, like probably bigger than the movie itself. He's at the end, not in the end, it's early on in the movie, is leaving Times Square, and it pans up to like do a transition, and you see a Batman vs Superman movie poster. Yeah. And I remember people were like, yo, is this a teaser? Like, is Batman vs Superman coming out? And people started freaking out because it said like release date was like 5/5/10 or 5/5/30. I couldn't tell what the date was. But Batman vs Superman ends up coming out. I actually have it written down, like 2017 or something.
2016 it looks like.
2016, yeah. So
which is crazy. Yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, oh, I didn't know those aligned. But then I realized now, holy crap. Yeah, that's crazy that they'd actually.
I remember the buzz because we were in high school at the time. Like the buzz about seeing that poster, people thought it was like a insider teaser. They're like, so in his future, we get Batman for Superman, and the logos are pretty similar too. Like they're not even that far off. So I just wanted to bring that up because that was a
Yeah,
crazy deal.
you got to think. I mean, maybe. I mean, it's Warner Brothers, right? So like, you got to think they probably had those discussions that, I mean, maybe that far in advance where they're like, we could get the ball rolling on something. But this is also predating the MCU. So like there's not
Yeah,
that like fire burning for a cinematic universe. So yeah, I'm sure they always had that idea in their back pocket, but like it is pretty cool to see those little Easter eggs. And there was a lot of other things too in the opening scene of this film where they're doing like the news broadcast and the little scrolls going by in the bottom. There were a
yeah.
couple things like the Patriots losing to the Giants or something like that was in there too. So it was like there was a lot of hints at some things that actually did kind of come true where you're like, they were
Yeah.
onto something there. A bunch of weirdos. I don't know what they were doing there. Anyway, yeah, this movie a lot of fun, and I'm definitely curious to see more about how they're going to do this sequel because, like you said, are they going to just do flashbacks with Robert Neville, which is entirely possible if the way the original one ended, he was like not a god, but I mean the fact that they're ideally we're on the trajectory back to a normal existence because of him. You got to think that there's going to be a lot of references and a lot of callbacks to him. So yeah, either way, he's either alive and in it, or he is still in pieces somewhere and is a
In
hero.
in the spirit of the whole point of the movie, I'm gonna believe he's dead because he is legend. Like that's the whole
Yeah,
thing. So this movie probably takes place with him as the legend.
maybe they clone him. All right, they use a couple pieces of him, and
I think that
no.
movie already came out. That was Gemini Man.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yep, I'm getting my movies mixed up. I feel like you could just lump all these Will Smith movies together and tie them into the Will Smith cinematic universe.
Yeah.
All right, this has been fun. We've gone over our time. We don't get paid
Oh,
overtime here at the
wait,
Movie Propcast.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Will Smith joined our club, and I say
Oh
our club.
yeah.
I mean my club. The he's a 2-time view. He's right. He's gonna catch a Kirsten Dunst. Like he's got to.
We'll see. We'll see. Kirsten Dunst may be on the horizon, so I don't know. I mean, I'm sure at some point we'll go back to another Will Smith film. I mean, let's be honest, it's freaking Will Smith. But yeah, I hear what
I'm
you're
saying
saying.
it right now. At our 1-year anniversary, Will Smith is probably our most reviewed actor.
Yeah,
Unless it's a character actor. Unless it's a background character actor who we just don't pay attention to. I have a feeling Will Smith is going to be like our most. It's probably going to be some like silly guy who's just like picks up roles.
right. Right, 100%. Yeah, we can't count that. As far as like a star leading actor, it's probably going to be Will Smith. So
Yeah.
that being said, let's get the hell out of here. Thank you for listening to the Movie Propcast. Again, you can find us on social media at Movie Propcast, TikTok, Instagram, and again on YouTube if you want to. Again, take it right to the eye holes. Sometimes you want to just take it to the eyes, and that's sometimes the better for you. I don't know. Maybe you got a lot of time. You want to put it up on the TV. You want to sit down with some popcorn and watch two heads talk for an hour. You can do that. Maybe I do that. I don't know. I don't really do that. I don't do that. But if you follow us on social media, though, you can get digestible clips of this podcast to your face in a smaller manner. Are you good? You good? You need me out? I'm gonna get
Yes.
out of here.
I'm gonna get out of here.
All right, let's get the hell out of here. It's been fun, guys. We'll talk to you next time on the Movie Propcast. We don't have a theme song on the way out, but
Yeah, we do. Oh well, not on
no,
the
no, no.
way out, but
Well,
yeah,
not when
okay.
we're recording either. It's very quiet. But it all happens in post, so they're gonna get this music right here, and then we're gonna get out now. So let's get out of here. All right, see ya.
Later.
Love you. Bye.
Love you.
See ya.